Lieutenant Jack Miller stood at attention near the wall of the large meeting chamber. His blue uniform was perfectly pressed, and his face showed no emotion. He was part of the first group of humans to meet the Zellerians, an alien race with technology far beyond what humans had. Jack's job was simple: stand guard and look strong. While the important people talked, Jack had not expected to be chosen for this mission. He was just a regular soldier who followed orders well. When his commander told him he would travel to the Zellerian homeworld, Jack could hardly believe it. Now here he was, millions of miles from Earth, watching history happen. The Zellerians looked like giant insects. They had 6 limbs, hard outer shells, and eyes that seemed to be made of many smaller eyes put together. Despite their strange appearance, they moved with grace. Their queen, Zaravex, sat on a raised platform at the front of the room. She was larger than the others, with a shell that shimmered with blue and purple colors. Unlike her subjects, who were various shades of brown and gray, the queen stood out. Jack tried not to stare, but it was hard. He had seen pictures during training, but nothing prepared him for seeing real aliens. As the human diplomat spoke with Zellerian officials, Jack noticed the queen looking at him. He quickly looked away, then remembered his training. Zellerians considered avoiding eye contact to be rude. So Jack looked back, directly into the queen's strange eyes. The room suddenly went quiet. Jack felt his heart beat faster. Had he done something wrong? The queen's guards moved their upper limbs to their weapons. Jack stayed still, unsure what to do. Then Queen Zaravex made a sound that Jack's translator device said meant laughter. She spoke in a clicking language that sounded like rocks falling. "The human soldier shows courage," the translator in Jack's ear said. "No one has looked directly at me in 200 years. The tension in the room eased. The talks continued, but Jack noticed the queen glancing at him from time to time. He tried to focus on his job, scanning the room for any threats, but it was hard knowing the alien ruler was watching him. Hours passed. Jack's legs were tired, but he did not move. As a soldier, he was used to standing for long periods. The diplomats discussed trade, technology sharing, and territory boundaries. Jack found it boring, but he knew this meeting could change the future for both species. Without warning, a loud boom shook the building. Pieces of the ceiling fell. Jack's training kicked in. He pulled his weapon and moved toward the human diplomats to protect them. Another explosion hit, and the room filled with smoke and dust. Through the chaos, Jack saw shapes moving. Zellerians, but different from the ones in the meeting. These had red markings on their shells. They carried strange weapons that fired beams of light. One of the beams hit a human diplomat who fell to the ground. "Protect the queen!" A Zellerian guard shouted in their language, translated through Jack's earpiece. Jack looked to the platform where Queen Zaravex had been. She was surrounded by attackers. Her guards fought bravely, but they were outnumbered. Without thinking, Jack ran toward her. He fired his weapon at the attackers, careful to aim at their limbs rather than their heads, not wanting to kill if he could avoid it. The queen was fighting too. She moved with surprising speed for her size, using a staff-like weapon that glowed with energy. But one attacker came up behind her, raising a blade-like weapon. "Behind you!" Jack shouted, knowing his translator would convert his words. The queen turned, but too slowly. Jack leaped forward, pushing his body to move faster than it ever had. He threw himself between the queen and the attacker. The blade cut into his shoulder instead of the queen's back. Pain shot through his body, but Jack managed to raise his weapon and fire at the attacker, who fell back. More human soldiers arrived, along with loyal Zellerian guards. The attackers retreated, leaving behind their dead and wounded. Jack sat on the floor, holding his bleeding shoulder. A medic rushed to him, applying a bandage that instantly stopped the bleeding and numbed the pain. "You are injured?" a voice said. Jack looked up to see Queen Zaravex standing over him. Up close, she was even more impressive. She stood nearly 7 feet tall, and her shell had intricate patterns that seemed to move in the light. "It's nothing serious, Your Highness," Jack said, trying to stand. "Stay seated," the queen ordered. "You saved my life." The blade was coated with poison that would have killed me instantly. Jack didn't know what to say. He had just reacted as he was trained to do. The attackers were from the Vexcrath clan, one of the Queen's advisors said. They oppose any alliance with humans. Queen Zaravex continued to look at Jack with her strange, multifaceted eyes. You fought differently from my guards, she said. They follow patterns, strategies passed down for generations. But you were unpredictable, fascinating. Jack felt uncomfortable under her gaze. Just doing my job, Your Highness. The Queen made a gesture with her upper limbs that Jack's cultural training identified as respect. What is your name, human soldier? Lieutenant. Jack Miller, Earth Defense Force, Your Highness. Lieutenant Jack Miller, she repeated, the words sounding strange in her clicking language. I wish to learn more about human fighting techniques. Your unpredictability could be valuable against those who wish to harm my people. One of the human diplomats approached, looking nervous. Your Highness, Lieutenant Miller is just a security officer. We have military advisors who could better assist you. The Queen's eyes never left Jack. No, I want this one. He has shown courage and quick thinking. Lieutenant Miller will serve as my personal human liaison. Jack's mouth fell open. This was not what he had expected when he woke up this morning. The diplomat looked like he wanted to argue, but thought better of it. If that is your wish, Your Highness, the diplomat said. Queen Zaravex made the gesture of respect again. It is decided. Lieutenant Miller will stay in the royal palace and teach me about humans. She turned to leave, then looked back at Jack. Rest now. Your training begins tomorrow. As she walked away, surrounded by her guards, Jack wondered what he had gotten himself into. He was just a soldier, not a diplomat or teacher. How was he supposed to represent all of humanity to an alien queen? The medic helped Jack stand. Congratulations, she said with a small smile. You've just made history. Jack watched the Queen disappear through a doorway. Something told him his life had just changed forever, and there would be no going back. The thought both excited and terrified him. Jack woke up in a strange room. The bed was oddly shaped, as if made for a body different from his own. For a moment he forgot where he was. Then it all came back to him. He was on the Zilarian homeworld in the royal palace. And today he would begin his new job as the personal human liaison to Queen Zaravex. He touched his shoulder where the blade had cut him yesterday. The wound was almost completely healed thanks to Zilarian medicine. Jack got up and put on his uniform. A knock on the door startled him. Enter, he called. A Zilarian servant came in. Lieutenant Miller, the Queen requests your presence in the training arena. The servant said through Jack's translator device. Jack followed the servant through winding hallways. The palace was built for beings with 6 limbs. Doorways were tall and wide. The floors had strange patterns that Jack later learned helped Zilarians feel where they were walking with their sensitive feet. The training arena was a large open space with high ceilings. Queen Zaravex stood in the center holding what looked like weapons. She wore less formal clothing than yesterday, but she still looked impressive and powerful. Lieutenant Miller, she said when she saw him. I hope you rested well? Yes, Your Highness, Jack replied, standing at attention. Please, when we are alone or training, call me Zaravex. Titles are for public settings. Jack nodded, though it felt strange to use her name. As you wish, Zaravex. The Queen picked up a weapon and handed it to Jack. It was lighter than it looked, with a grip that barely fit his human hand. Show me how you would use this, she said. Jack examined the weapon. It looked like a short staff with buttons along its length. He pressed one, and the end of the staff glowed with energy. I would probably hold it like this, Jack said, gripping it like a baseball bat. He swung it in a simple pattern. Zaravex watched with great interest. Fascinating. A Zilarian would never hold it that way. We would use our lower limbs to stabilize and our middle limbs to swing. She demonstrated, her movements quick and graceful despite her size, for the next 2 hours. They exchanged fighting techniques. Jack showed her basic human combat moves, while she taught him how Zilarians fought. By the end, Jack was sweating and tired, but Zaravex seemed like she could continue for hours more. Your species has great endurance, she noted, watching Jack catch his breath. But you tire quickly. Interesting. We make up for it in other ways, Jack said. Humans adapt. Quickly, we learn fast. Yes, I can see that. You already move more like a Zilarian than when we started. Over the next few weeks, Jack settled into a routine. Mornings were spent training with the Queen. Afternoons, he attended diplomatic meetings, standing behind her as both guard and advisor. Evenings, she would ask him endless questions about human culture, history, and biology. Jack learned that the Queen was younger than he expected, only 50 years old. For Zilarians, who could live up to 200 years, she was barely an adult. She had become queen 10 years ago after uniting warring Zilarian factions through both military skill and diplomacy. One evening, as they sat in the queen's private garden, Zaravex asked, "Do humans form bonds beyond family units?" "Of course," Jack said. "We have friends, colleagues, teammates. Some bonds can be as strong as family, sometimes stronger." This seemed to surprise her. Zilarians only truly bond with their hivekin. All others are ... temporary connections. "That sounds lonely," Jack said, without thinking. Zaravex was quiet for a moment. "Perhaps it is. I never considered it that way." As weeks turned into months, Jack noticed changes in how the palace staff treated him. At first, they had been cold, even hostile. Now, many nodded respectfully when he passed. A few even asked him questions about Earth. Not everyone approved of his presence, though. Lord Vexgrath, leader of a powerful noble house, made his dislike clear. He was large even for a Zilarian, with a dark gray shell and red markings. When Jack entered rooms, Vexgrath would often leave, making clicking sounds that Jack's translator didn't catch but that made other Zilarians uncomfortable. "Why does Lord Vexgrath hate humans so much?" Jack asked Zaravex during one of their training sessions. The Queen sighed, a sound like wind through reeds. His ancestor was on the first Zilarian ship to discover Earth 300 years ago. The ship crashed, and humans of that time captured and killed the crew. Vexgrath believes humans are dangerous primitives who should be conquered, not allied with. "That's not fair," Jack protested. "Humans 300 years ago didn't understand space travel or alien life." "We've changed. I know this," Zaravex said. But Vexgrath and his supporters refuse to see it. They believe I am contaminated by human influence. Jack didn't know what to say to that. Was he causing problems for her? Before he could ask, a servant entered the training arena. "Your Highness, the human diplomats request an audience. They say it is urgent." In the meeting hall, Earth's ambassador looked worried. "Your Highness, we've received reports of Zilarian ships entering Earth's solar system without permission. They're not responding to communication attempts." Zaravex's body stiffened. "I authorized no such mission." The ambassador glanced at Jack, then back to the Queen. "Our intelligence suggests they belong to Lord Vexgrath's house." The Queen made a sharp clicking sound that needed no translation. She was angry. "I will deal with this at once. Lieutenant Miller, come with me." They hurried to the command center, where Zilarian officers monitored screens filled with symbols. Jack couldn't read. Zaravex barked orders, and the screens changed to show 3 Zilarian ships approaching Mars. "Open a channel to the lead ship," she commanded. A Zilarian face appeared on the main screen. Jack recognized one of Vexgrath's sons. "By whose authority do you enter Earth territory?" Zaravex demanded. "By the authority of the true Zilarian people," the son replied. "We go to study the humans' defenses. Knowledge is not forbidden. Return at once. This is a direct order from your queen." The son's face showed no emotion. "You speak with a human at your side." "Your orders are ... spect." The screen went dark. Zaravex turned to her officers. "Send interceptors. Bring those ships back, using force if necessary." Later that night, Jack found the Queen in her garden. She stood looking up at the stars. "The ships have been captured," she said without turning. "Vexgrath claims he knew nothing of his sons." "Plan, I do not believe him." Jack stood beside her. "What will happen now? The human alliance is at risk? Some of my advisors suggest I send you back to Earth as a sign that I put Zilarian interests first." Jack felt a strange pain in his chest. At the thought of leaving. Is that what you want? Zarevex turned to face him. In the dim light, her eyes seemed to glow. No, you have taught me much about humans. There is more to learn, she paused, and I find your presence ... satisfying. Jack wasn't sure what to say. Was that a Zilarian way of saying she liked having him around? We need to show Vexgroth and the others that humans and Zilarians are stronger together than apart, she continued. Tomorrow, I will announce a cultural exchange program. More humans will come to our world and Zilarians will visit Earth. That's a good idea, Jack said. Zarevex made a gesture he had come to recognize as determination. Vexgroth will not give up so easily. There will be more challenges ahead. Jack nodded. We'll face them together. The Queen looked at him with an expression he couldn't read. Together, she repeated, as if testing how the word felt. Yes, Lieutenant Miller. I believe we will. 6 months passed since Jack first arrived on the Zilarian homeworld. The cultural exchange program started by Queen Zarevex was working well. 20 humans now lived in the capital city, learning Zilarian ways. A similar group of Zilarians had gone to Earth. Reports said they were especially fond of Earth's oceans and forests, environments not found on their dry home planet. Jack's life had fallen into a comfortable pattern. He still trained with the Queen each morning, but now he also helped the other humans adjust to Zilarian customs. He had learned enough of the Zilarian language to speak simple sentences without his translator. The Queen seemed pleased by his efforts. One morning, Jack entered the training arena to find Zarevex speaking with several of her advisors. They looked worried. When they saw Jack, they stopped talking. What's wrong? Jack asked. The Queen dismissed her advisors before turning to Jack. Lord Vexgroth has made a formal challenge to my rule. Jack's stomach tightened. What kind of challenge? In our culture, any noble of high rank can challenge the ruler if they believe the ruler is not acting in the best interest of our people. Zarevex's voice was calm, but Jack had learned to read her body language. The way her middle limbs twitched showed she was upset. What happens now? Jack asked. We will fight in the arena, following ancient rules. The winner rules. The loser ... She paused. The loser traditionally dies. Jack felt cold all over. Dies? There must be another way. There is not. This is our way for thousands of years. The Queen touched Jack's arm with one of her limbs, a rare gesture of physical contact. Do not worry, I am skilled in combat. But Vexgroth is bigger than you, and I've seen him fight. He's strong. Size and strength are not everything. You taught me that. She made a sound like laughter, but it seemed forced. Over the next few days, Jack watched as the Queen prepared for the challenge. She trained harder than ever, often going without rest. Jack tried to help, but there were many Zilarian fighting techniques he didn't understand. 3 days before the challenge, Jack found Zarevex alone in her garden. She looked up at the stars as she often did when troubled. May I join you? Jack asked. Please do, she said. They stood in silence for a while. Then Jack spoke. I'm worried about the challenge. As am I, she admitted. Vexgroth has modified his body for battle. Reports say he now stands twice his former size, with hardened limbs and enhanced strength. That's not fair, Jack protested. It is allowed by the ancient rules? The rules were written before such modifications were possible. She turned to face Jack. There is something you should know. If I die, it will affect more than just my rule. What do you mean? Zilarians can only reproduce once in our lifetime. I have not yet done so. If I die without reproducing, my genetic line ends forever. Jack didn't know what to say. In human terms, it would be like the last member of a family dying without having children. Why tell me this? He finally asked. Because you have become important to me, Jack Miller, in ways I did not expect. She used his first name, something she had never done before. I want you to understand what is at stake, Jack thought for a moment. Then an idea came to him. What if someone fought in your place? Is that allowed? A champion? Zarevex seemed surprised. It is an ancient practice, rarely used, but yes, it is allowed. Then I'll do it. I'll fight as your champion. The Queen made a sharp clicking sound. No, Vexgreth would kill you instantly. Maybe not. I'm smaller and faster. Humans fight differently than Zilarians. He wouldn't know what to expect. It is too dangerous. I cannot ask this of you. You're not asking. I'm offering. Jack stepped closer to her. Let me try. Zaravex was quiet for a long time. Finally, she spoke. The law does not forbid a non-Zilarian champion. It simply was never considered possible. She seemed to be thinking out loud. It would cause an uproar, but it might be allowed. The next day, Queen Zaravex called a meeting of the Royal Council. Jack stood beside her as she announced that Lieutenant Jack Miller would fight as her champion. The room erupted in noise. Some council members clicked their limbs in shock. Others spoke loudly, arguing that a human could not serve as champion. The ancient laws do not specify that a champion must be Zilarian, Zaravex said firmly. They say only that the champion must be chosen by the ruler and must fight willingly. Lord Vexgreth, who was present at the meeting, laughed. It was a harsh sound that made Jack's skin crawl. Let the human fight, Vexgreth said. It will be a quick battle. The council eventually agreed, though many members seemed unhappy. After the meeting, the queen took Jack to a special room deep in the palace. Inside were weapons of all kinds. Choose what you will use in the battle, she said. You may take any 3 weapons. Jack looked at the strange collection. Most were made for Zilarian hands, not human ones. He chose a short sword that fit his grip, a small shield, and a throwing weapon that looked like a metal star. Now we must prepare you, Zaravex said. You have 2 days to learn as much as you can about fighting Vexgreth. For the next 2 days, Jack trained harder than ever before. The queen brought in her best warriors to teach him Zilarian weak points. He learned that despite their hard shells, Zilarians had sensitive spots where their limbs joined their bodies. He also learned that their eyes, while giving them good all-around vision, could be temporarily blinded by bright light. On the night before the battle, Jack could not sleep. He walked through the palace gardens, trying to calm his mind. He found the queen there, as if she had been waiting for him. You should be resting, she said. I can't sleep, Jack admitted. Too much on my mind. Are you afraid? She asked. Yes, Jack said honestly, but not too afraid to fight. Zaravex made a gesture that meant understanding. Fear is natural. Even Zilarians feel it, though we try to hide it. What happens if I lose tomorrow? Jack asked. Vexgreth will become ruler. The human alliance will end. Your people will likely be banned from our world. She paused. And you will die. Jack nodded. He had known the stakes. And if I win? Then I remain queen, the alliance grows stronger, and you ... She moved closer to him. You will be honored among my people forever. They stood together under the stars, not speaking. After a while, Zaravex touched Jack's face gently with one limb. The gesture surprised him. No matter what happens tomorrow, she said, know that your willingness to fight for me has changed how I see humans forever. As she walked away, Jack realized something important. He wasn't just fighting for the alliance between their peoples. He was fighting for her. The day of the challenge arrived. Jack woke early and prepared himself. He put on a light armor suit given to him by the Queen's guards. It was made for a Zilarian body but had been adjusted to fit him. The material was stronger than any human armor he had seen. A servant brought him a meal, but Jack could barely eat. His stomach felt tight with worry. He checked his weapons one last time, the short sword, the small shield, and the throwing star. They felt strange in his hands, but he had practiced with them for 2 days. There was a knock at his door. Jack opened it to find Zaravex standing there. She wore formal royal clothing with symbols of her rule painted on her shell. It is time, she said. Jack followed her through the palace to a large underground area he had never seen before. It was an ancient arena with stone seats rising up around a circular fighting space. The seats were filled with hundreds of Zilarians, all clicking and buzzing with excitement. This arena has been used for challenges for 5,000 years, Zaravex told him. No human has ever stood here before. Jack nodded, too nervous to speak. As they reached the entrance to the fighting space, the queen stopped and turned to him. "Remember what you learned?" she said. "Vexgreth is strong but slow. Use your speed. And remember his weak points." "I will," Jack promised. "One more thing," Zaravex said. She took something from a pocket in her clothing. It was a small crystal that glowed with blue light. "This is a royal charm. It has no power, but it is tradition for a ruler to give it to their champion." She placed it in Jack's hand. "Keep it safe." Jack put the crystal in a pocket near his heart. "I will return it to you after the fight," he said. The queen made a gesture that meant hope. "I believe you will." Jack walked into the arena alone. The crowd grew louder when they saw him. Many had never seen a human before. Jack tried to ignore them and focus on what was ahead. On the other side of the arena stood Lord Vexgreth. Jack had to stop himself from gasping. Vexgreth had indeed modified his body. He now stood nearly 10 feet tall, with limbs as thick as tree trunks. His shell was dark gray with red markings, and his eyes glowed with an unnatural light. A Zilarian. Official stood between them and spoke in a loud voice. Jack's translator told him the official was explaining the rules of combat. The fight would end when one competitor could not continue or surrendered, or when one died. "Begin." The official shouted, then quickly moved away. Vexgreth wasted no time. He charged at Jack like a bull, his 6 limbs pounding the arena floor. Jack waited until the last second, then dove to the side. Vexgreth couldn't stop his charge and crashed into the arena wall. The crowd made sounds of surprise. Jack used the moment to study his opponent. Vexgreth wore no armor, trusting his hardened shell for protection. He carried a large hammer in his upper limbs. Vexgreth turned and faced Jack again. "Human," he said in his own language, which Jack's translator converted. "Your queen sends you to die in her place. How does it feel to be used this way?" Jack didn't answer. He knew Vexgreth was trying to make him angry. To make him make mistakes, Vexgreth attacked again, this time more carefully. He swung his hammer in wide arcs, forcing Jack to keep moving back. Jack tried to get close enough to use his sword. But the hammer's reach was too great. For several minutes, they moved around the arena this way. Jack dodging, Vexgreth attacking. Jack was already getting tired, while Vexgreth seemed full of energy. "You cannot win, human," Vexgreth said. "Surrender now, and I will make your death quick." Jack remembered what the queen had taught him about Zilarian pride. "If you're so sure of victory," he called back, "why do you keep talking instead of fighting?" Angry clicks came from Vexgreth. The insult had worked. He charged again, faster and less, controlled them before. His hammer came down hard, and Jack barely got his shield up in time. The force of the blow sent him flying across the arena. Jack hit the ground hard. Pain shot through his left arm, the one holding the shield. It might be broken. He forced himself to stand up, switching the sword to his left hand and the shield to his right. Though it felt awkward, Vexgreth laughed. "See how weak humans are? This is what our queen wants to ally with?" Jack needed a new plan. He couldn't keep dodging forever. He remembered the throwing star in his belt. It was designed to hit sensitive spots in Zilarian bodies. Jack had one chance to use it well. Vexgreth came at him again. This time, Jack stood his ground. He waited until Vexgreth raised his hammer, then threw the star with all his strength. It flew true, hitting Vexgreth where his middle right limb joined his body. Vexgreth roared in pain. His limb didn't move right anymore. The crowd gasped and buzzed with excitement. No one had expected the human to land a blow, but Jack had no time to celebrate. Vexgreth was angrier now, and still dangerous. He swung his hammer wildly. One blow caught the edge of Jack's shield, spinning him around. Another hit his leg, sending pain shooting up his body. Jack fell to one knee. He could hear the crowd growing louder. Many were calling for Vexgreth to finish him. Jack looked up at the royal box where Queen Zaravex watched. Even from a distance, he could see the worry in her posture. The crystal she had given him pressed against his chest. Jack thought of all that would be lost if he failed. The alliance between their peoples, the queen's rule, her genetic line, and his own life. With a surge of determination, Jack stood up. His leg hurt badly, but he could still move. Vexgreth came at him again, hammer raised high. But this time, instead of dodging away, Jack dodged toward him, getting inside the arc of the hammer. Jack slashed with his sword at the spot where the throwing star had hit. Vexgreth's shell was already damaged there. The sword cut deep. Vexgreth screamed and dropped his hammer. It fell with a loud crash just inches from Jack. The arena went silent. Vexgreth dropped to his knees, green blood flowing from his wound. He looked at Jack with hatred in his eyes. "Finish it," he said. "Take my life as is your right." Jack looked at his fallen opponent. By Zilarian law, he could kill Vexgreth now. It would be expected, but Jack wasn't Zilarian. "No," Jack said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "I won the challenge." "That's enough." Confused clicking sounds came from the crowd. This was not how challenges usually ended. The official hurried into the arena. "The challenge is complete," the official announced. "The human champion is victorious. Queen Zaravex remains ruler of the Zilarian people." Cheers erupted from some parts of the crowd. Others remained silent, shocked by what they had seen. Jack limped toward the exit, each step painful. As he reached the edge of the arena, he saw Queen Zaravex rushing down to meet him. "You did it," she said, her voice filled with something Jack had never heard from a Zilarian before. It sounded almost like human joy. "I kept your charm safe," Jack said, reaching for the crystal. "Keep it," she said. "You have earned it." As royal. Guards helped Jack from the arena. He heard the crowd making a new sound. His translator couldn't find a human word for it, but he understood its meaning. It was respect. Jack spent 2 weeks in the Palace Medical Center. Zilarian doctors used their advanced technology to heal his broken arm and injured leg. They were amazed at how quickly humans could heal compared to Zilarians. During his recovery, Jack had many visitors. The human diplomats came to thank him. His victory had made the alliance between humans and Zilarians stronger than ever. Even some Zilarian nobles who had opposed the alliance now accepted it. They had seen a human fight with honor and show mercy, qualities they respected. Queen Zaravex visited Jack every day. She would sit beside his bed and tell him news from the palace. Lord Vexgreth had left the capital city in shame. His supporters were quiet now. The Queen had started new programs to bring humans and Zilarians together. On the day Jack was released from the medical center, the Queen was waiting for him. "Walk with me," she said. They walked slowly through the palace gardens. Jack's leg was still a little stiff, but it was much better. The Queen seemed thoughtful, as if she had something important to say but didn't know how to begin. "In 3 days there will be a ceremony," she finally said, "to honor your victory and the alliance between our peoples." "I don't need a ceremony," Jack said. "I was just doing my duty." "It is not just for you," the Queen explained. "It is for all Zilarians to see that humans are valued allies." She paused. "And I have a gift I wish to present to you." "A gift? You've already given me enough, Your Highness?" The Queen made a gesture that meant dismissal of his words. "This gift is special. It is for you, but also for all humans." Jack wondered what the gift could be. He had learned that Zilarians rarely gave gifts. When they did, the gifts had great meaning. On the day of the ceremony, the great hall of the palace was filled with Zilarians and the few humans who lived on the planet. Jack stood beside Queen Zaravex on a raised platform. He wore his Earth Defense Force uniform, freshly cleaned and pressed. The Queen spoke to the crowd about the alliance between their peoples. She talked about how Jack had fought for her and shown mercy to his defeated opponent. The crowd listened in respectful silence. "Today I wish to present a gift," the Queen announced. "Not just to Lieutenant Jack Miller, but to all humans." She signaled to a servant who brought forward a beautiful box made of a shiny metal Jack had never seen before. The Queen opened the box. Inside was a glowing crystal, much larger than the charm she had given Jack before the fight. This crystal pulsed with many colors: blue, purple, green, and gold. "This is a soul crystal," the Queen said. "It contains my genetic essence and my memories." A sound of surprise went through the crowd. Jack didn't understand the importance of what was happening, but he could tell from the reaction that it was something big. Among our people, these are given only to our offspring or the closest of kin, the queen continued. No outsider has ever received such a gift. She lifted the crystal from the box and held it out to Jack. Lieutenant Jack Miller, I give this to you as a symbol of the bond between our peoples. When placed in our royal archives, it will forever mark humans as equals and allies to Zilarians. Jack carefully took the crystal. It felt warm in his hands, almost alive. Thank you, Your Highness, I am honored. There is more, the queen said. She turned to address the human diplomats. This crystal contains genetic instructions that will allow your scientists to create biological interfaces between humans and Zilarian technology. This includes our faster-than-light drives and our healing technology. Now it was the humans. Turned to make sounds of surprise. Jack understood why. Zilarians had always kept their most advanced technology secret. This gift would advance human technology by centuries. You fought for my future, the queen said to Jack. It is right that? I ensure yours. As Jack held the crystal, the Zilarians in the hall performed a gesture he had never seen before. They lowered their antennae, bending them forward toward the ground. Jack's translator told him this was a gesture of deep respect, never before. Directed at a non-Zilarian, Jack didn't know what to say. He had no words big enough for this moment. He simply pressed the crystal to his heart, a human gesture of thanks that needed no translation. After the ceremony, there was a celebration. Humans and Zilarians mingled together, sharing food and stories. Jack found himself the center of attention, with many Zilarians wanting to speak with him. Even some who had once been hostile now treated him with respect. Later that evening, Jack went to the Queen's garden for some quiet. To his surprise, she was already there looking at the stars as she often did. I didn't expect to find you here, Jack said. Shouldn't you be at the celebration? I needed time to think, she replied. Much has changed in recent months, Jack nodded. The alliance is stronger now. Your gift will help humans advance in ways we never imagined. Yes, but that is not what I was thinking about. The Queen turned to face him. I was thinking about you, Jack Miller. Me? Why? When you first came here, I saw you as a curiosity, a strange being from another world. Then as a soldier, then as a champion, she paused. Now I see you differently. How do you see me now? Jack asked quietly. The Queen's multifaceted eyes seemed to shimmer in the starlight. I am not sure there is a word in your language for it. The closest might be ... friend, but that is not quite right. Jack thought he understood what she was trying to say. In human culture, when someone is more than a friend, when they become important to you in a special way, we sometimes say they have a place in our heart. Yes, the Queen said. That is closer to what I mean. You have won a place in what humans would call my heart. Jack smiled. Among humans, that's a great honor. And what would humans call the feeling when someone wishes to always be near another? When they think of that person even when they are apart? Jack's own heart beat faster. We might call that love. Love, the Queen repeated the word carefully. It is not a concept Zilarians have traditionally understood, but I think I'm beginning to. She reached out one of her limbs and gently touched Jack's face as she had done the night before his fight. This time, the touch lingered. The crystal I gave you today will change the future for both our peoples, she said. But there is another future I am thinking of now. What future is that? Jack asked. Ours, she said simply, if you wish it. Jack took her limb in his hand. It felt strange, but right. I do wish it. Above them, the stars of two worlds shone, down on a beginning that neither human nor Zilarian could have imagined before.